went through a lot, and as a young boy, it was very hard. No relative, nothing. So I had to try other strategies, and at that time I don't have clothes. The only clothes that I have is what I even found myself wearing my father's old clothes there by the university because I didn't have anything. I didn't have. It was just hard. Well, I tried to be strong. You know what was assisting me more is because when I'm with people, I would make a lot of jokes so that people don't focus more on me, and it was working for me. So one of the good things that I did when I got to university is that on the first day that I went to class is the first day that after classes I went to look for the church around. And so I've learned that there is a church on the campus for only students. I remember on the day that I went in, um, it was one of the best days ever. The moment that I got at church, I love singing. Those who know me, I love singing when see a lot of people uh, dancing and reciting. So the moment that I got into the church in the hall, the MBF dining hall, can't forget that day. I started doing things that I'm known for, singing glory, hallelujah unto God because of the miracles that I saw because of Him. And I started feeling like I'm home again. My faith was more rejuvenated with all the experiences that I have seen God practically. That is why when I'm invited to talk to young people, I always tell them, especially at church, I always tell them that the little things that you are doing for the next person, the little things that you are saying to the next person in an attempt to change them, plays an important role in the list or in the file of God. I always say that prayer is an investment. When you pray, when you praise God, you are investing for the moment wherein you need Him most. I needed God most during that time, and He had to reveal Himself in the process. That's why things happened so fast. It is only because I invested into Him. I prayed so much. I wanted to see Him as a young person committed to Sunday school. So all the prayers that I was doing every day, they were bound to come at that point in time. So I've managed to get accommodation and I was studying. Um, like I told you in my first video that I always make sure that everything else that I do, I become the most noticeable person. I become outstanding, if one would put it that way. So the first test that I wrote, I became number one in class. I remember Mr. Kwao, at that time he was still Mr. Mr. Kwao was the main lecturer. He had to call me at the front of everyone in a class full of 356 students to come and get an award of being the best student in his test one. And the best present ever he gave me was a prescribed book. I love that man so much. He has changed me because with that prescribed book, that's when I started learning more about the program that I've chosen to study. Development studies, development planning and management. I've started understanding that program deeply because of that prescribed book. And it's all because of the hard work that I've invested. It's because of the hard work and the faith that I had unto God. So with that, I started gaining more knowledge because I had a determination that every Friday, I was going to cross night at the university. Uh, it was cross nighting because at times you find that I'm tired around 4 or 5 in the morning and I sleep in that class. I remember we used to use KA and KB, sometimes TA, TC, TB, but those were cold. So mostly you would find me on every Friday at KA and KB studying, not because there is a test that is coming, because I wanted to understand what I was doing. And that has helped me so much. That's why I've managed to beat the whole class. It's because I was studying so much in an attempt to know, in an attempt to get an understanding and become the best. So the most important thing that has motivated me to work so hard is the family background. It's where I come from. Because I know that if I drop, everyone is going to drop. So if I fall, everyone is going to fall because they're all looking at me. So that has always been a motivation to me that, bruh, you have to work hard. You have to work hard. But in the public, I made sure that I don't look like I struggle. Many people would not notice. It's only now that some people will tell that, no, we could see that you are struggling, but we couldn't just say it at that time. So to me, most people didn't notice that I was struggling. But the stress is still about the accommodation. The issue of accommodation became a serious problem because there was a time wherein Monica, the landlord, came and say, you see, I think I've made a bad decision by accepting you in here. Because for the whole semester, you only paid once. So now that the first semester is coming to an end, please make sure that when you leave for holidays, you leave with your bags because you are not going to find that room. At that time, there's no one, I've got no option. So what is left for me is either I'm going back home or I opt to become a hobo. And I don't know where I got that strength. I convinced her that no, in July when I come back, I'm telling you, I'm going to pay for all the months that I've missed. So there's no need for me to take my bags. Then she agreed. So in July when I came back, she changed the lock. She did not really change the lock. She blocked the key, the lock. So which means you can't even open. So the condition was that leave what you are owing us and at least pay for the 3 months of second semester. Then we'll be convinced that you will pay for the others. Then that's when I ended up being honest to them. I don't know. By coincidence, on that day that I arrived, she was not there. So she left someone to have the key so that if I make the payment, they can then open for me. So I had to lie and convince that lady to, and the lady's name is Koketo. I had to lie to Koketo that no, actually the man is paid but he hasn't arrived because they paid through Standard Bank and the account is FNB. So possibly by tomorrow it will be in. So since well it's already late, I can't sleep outside because of that. Can you just open for me? Then they opened for me. There was no any money that was paid anyway. I just wanted to see myself in the room there. So when Monica came, the Monica is the landlord. When Monica came, she was so angry that they allowed me in into the house. And she told me that I need to pack my things and leave because I have not paid anything. For the whole year, I only managed to pay the 500. I've not paid anything at all. And at that time, I don't know where to go. I don't know who to assist, who can assist me. I was just frustrated. So I was only relying on lies for me to succeed. I tried to explain a situation that my father lost the job, so there's no one who's working, and I'm just trying. I tried applying at ShopRite. I'm not getting anything. Currently, at that time, I was starting to sell sweets because I just at that time at home to ask for food. So now I must focus on my studies. I must find a way to look after my parents. I must at the same time look after myself and pay the rent. It was hard. And on top of that, there were no opportunities out. All the things that I was trying, they were not working. I was selling the sweets, but it didn't work. There was a point wherein I ended up telling the landlord that I don't think I will pay. I'm going through all this, and at the same time, I'm expected to perform academically. It was not a choice. I was forced to perform because at home. Well, Monica ended up accepting that I'm struggling, I'm not doing it by choice. She ended up saying it's fine, you can stay until the end of this semester, that second semester. But please next year don't come here. I was happy. But at the same time I didn't know where I'm gonna be staying from next year. Well, second semester ended, January came, same situation, nothing. I went back again to Monica and pleaded with her. I told her that the UIF of my father, they're about to come out. So when they come out, I will cover even the things that I couldn't cover last year. And I thanked her for letting me in. So she bought to my story, which I believe it was God behind all this. She bought to my story, and I stayed again for second year, which means now I'm staying for 2 years, having paid 500. I have learned later that the lady who was selling ice cream, who directed us to that house, is actually staying next door, and she has got rooms as well. But she just didn't want us to stay there. I've only learned later again that the reason why she didn't want us there is because she's ill treating those tenants there, and she didn't want to do the same to the students who are going to her own church. And thanks God for that. Well, I stayed at Monica's place with the lies that the UIF is coming. So in February, Monica came back and said, "You said the money is coming. You see, you're repeating what you did last year." Then I apologized, um, and I told her that I will make a plan, and if I don't win with that plan, I will leave, but I will still come back and pay. She listened to my story. She was tired from hearing different stories every day. She allowed me in. I stayed, working very hard, passing with distinctions and everything, because I was not sleeping. I worked very hard. I didn't just throw my books onto God. I worked, I studied those books. I made sure that I know everything that I needed to know. And I was excelling under that difficult situation. After class, or sometimes you're in class, that thing comes back to you to say, how are you going to get to your room? You must hide to get to your room because you are owing the landlord. It was very hard. So there came second semester. I lied again to her. Um, she was doing law. I gave her an impression that the UIFs of my fathers are withheld, and because we don't have any legal representative, it's hard. Then I gave her an impression that at one stage I will need her legal assistance for the release of the money, and all those were lies. I just wanted a place to stay so that I can finish my studies. Remember at that time, NSFAS was not paying for accommodation if you are staying outside. In July, towards the end of July, she came back. She was very angry, and now she did not buy anything from me. And when she needed the money, I told her that I'm not going anywhere. You can kill me. I'm not going to live here. She thought I'm crazy. I told her that you can do whatever I want to do. If you want to kill me, you can kill me. Where should I go? I can't go home. They're relying on me. I can't go home. She was like, no, Nakam is not my place. So if you're not paying, they assume I'm making plans for you. Then I told her, then call whoever is responsible. I will explain to that person. Now, but what you need to know is that I'm not going to leave this house. Then she left. So her leaving left a lot of unanswered questions, and I started questioning my safety as well. I started to feel like it's no longer safe to stay here. Then I remember late at night, I packed my things. I packed everything. When it's quiet, I took everything else to campus. I left my bags at OCH, the classroom. I left them there, and I used to sleep on campus in the classrooms. And at home, they need food. It was hard. I became a hobo. Chasing education. I wanted to be educated, but I didn't have the resources. So I had to risk with my life to be educated. And I knew that there's no way I can go back home. If I go back home, then I'm selling out the future of my sisters. They were still in high school. So what was left for me was to say, keep soldiering on, keep soldiering on. I started asking food at student races. Some assisted me, some could not. Bathing in the toilet. In the hope that I'll be fine. I couldn't tell them at home because they were going to call me back. I don't wish this on anyone. My undergraduate life has been very difficult. I didn't have clothes. Thanks to Ludwig Holle. Thanks to Tovejan. Thanks to Semi. For always assisting me with the clothes when they realize that I'm struggling.